with what the other cities are doing together. We created Refresh to help the students of BISD as back to school. So this is kind of a numbers from last year, just to give you a understanding. Last year we served 1,878 students that actually came through Refresh, and 610 of those were from Haltom City. And so about a third of the students that came to Refresh were through that. That was about 900, I'm not sure about how many households that was that they presented, but about 610 students. So here's a little bit of an understanding how big of a community-wide situation it is. We had 56 exhibitors, which included resources for these families. It's not just enough to give them backpacks and school supplies. We want these families to understand what resources are out there. And so then we had 29 churches involved, 744 volunteers that were provided that helped do this. And that's a large volunteer base to do one day, have that many volunteers in one day. So that was exciting to see the numbers and see all that went on there. I quickly wanted to kind of make sure that the council is educated. Y'all know these kind of things. You're educated on poverty, because our whole goal is to break the cycle of poverty. And so these are the 2020 poverty levels. If you're not aware of that, you hear about poverty all the time, but you may not know what those numbers represent. So these are the top line of numbers are the households, what the poverty level is for households. So let's just take example, a family of three, maybe a single mom and two kids, the poverty level is 21,720. So a lot of federal programs are based on those numbers. And like for school, free and reduced lunch, by the way, the free lunch is at 180% of poverty, and reduced lunch is 200% of poverty. So 200% of poverty would be like 42,000. So if they could have free and reduced lunch if they're under those numbers. But the bigger numbers helps you understand what they're making per hour. And so I've showed this presentation to Rotary clubs and Lions clubs and all kinds of things, and I've had people come up and tell me, I didn't realize what that was doing to my single mom or my employees when I'm paying this much. And they've gone back and actually raised people's salaries based on the fact that their employees were at a poverty level. And so, but it's very difficult. They're saying for a single mom in the DFW area, she needs to make about $26 an hour to be self-sufficient. Well, $10.44 is a long way from $26 an hour. And so one of the things that we do is to help people work that. That big difference that we're talking about there is what we call the lack of slack. They have no opportunity to advance themselves because they're always constantly thinking about what they got to do tomorrow. They can't think, today, they can't think about tomorrow. It's a lack of slack. If a tire goes flat on their car, they just don't have the resources to go forward. So the lack of slack. We're all about helping them stabilize and support the family, then empower and educate the family, and then helping them to thrive. We do that through coaching. And so some of the tools that we use is one of the things I want the citizens of Haltom City to know, that we have free tax preparation at our location. And you can see the hours there. Very hard to see the hours there, but it's basically Monday through Thursday, 3 to 7, and then on Saturday mornings. And so it's totally free, and we actually go through April 29th. So if you get started by April 15th, then you can complete your stuff by April 29th. But we encourage all the citizens of Haltom City to take advantage of the actual free. It truly is free. There's no charge. And so they can get their refunds and everything just like they could anywhere else. That is actually a partnership with United Way and the City of Fort Worth. So the other tools that we use at our food pantry, in January we gave out 1,600 different packages of food, different orders of food. So last year we did over 1 million pounds of food. And of those families that we served last year, we served about 919 households in Haltom City for about almost 3,000 individuals that we helped with food last year. And so that's very important to supplement different things. A lot of them may be seniors. We work well with Bobby down at the Haltom City Senior Center, and that we share some seniors there and help each other and coordinate a lot of things through with each other. Another tool is our housing. We actually own 206 houses and apartments. We have a couple of them in Haltom City, a couple of our houses. But those we use for, and we also partner with some other organizations that have housing in Haltom City. We actually almost bought one of those locations in Haltom City, and it didn't work out. But that is to help. We have starting a new program called Housing Plus, and that is to help the gap of people in school, the school homeless. The school district, if they find somebody that is living in a motel or living doubled up and they really got to get out, they don't have anywhere to go because HUD will not pay for those housing dollars, pay the housing dollars for subsidizing those housing. So we're kind of taking it on ourselves to fill that gap. We are getting out of the HUD business, and the end of this month is after 27 years of receiving HUD funds, we're not going to receive them any longer because of the restrictions are so difficult. So anyway, we have the housing as a tool. GED, education, big part of helping people move forward to get the jobs they need to get. Also, they're saying by 2040 that 65% of residents or jobs in DFW are going to have a certification or a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree. And right now we're about 30%. So that is going to be very difficult for us to continue to encourage our students and our young children to read by the time they're 3rd grade so they can move forward by the time they get in high school and on past that, to get their certifications and get their extra little education so they can make the dollars they need to prepare to help their family. So education is a big part of it. We also have a summer learning program and some other things that we work with BISD in helping students understand that. Employment coaching. So while they're in that process of getting the certifications or the computer certifications or whatever it is, we have employment coaches that work with them to say, what is it you need to do to get there? Maybe it is the certifications. Maybe it is just show up at work, coaching them through that whole process. Okay, so you have a job, but you're only making $12 an hour, but you need to make at least $15 an hour, whatever it is. So helping coach them through that process and what do they need to do next to make that happen. And then financial crisis. We all know payday lending and other things are very hardships on the citizens. And so encouraging them and educating them, we're starting some lending circles and some other things like that will help families to where they're not burdened by that process. One of the things is the free tax preparation we do is encouraging them to put some money in savings. If they have $1,000 in savings, if there's a crisis, they are able to take that money and use it for crisis. So it's those kind of education and coaching that we work with the families to make sure that they maximize their situation. And part of that is helping them set goals and move forward. And so that's, and just understanding that as we educate them, that some savings will really help them in the long run. That lack of slack we talked about earlier. Financial coaching is part of that and building their credit score. You go, well, why do they need to have a credit score? Because getting into a rental situation or insurance or all those things, credit scores are important. So they need to have a credit score of about 620 to make sure that they are can move forward with what they want to do with their family. So we're helping them figure out how to build that credit score up, not just so they can borrow money, but so they can help their family in a better way. So I quickly ran through that, but one of the things I wanted to, when I came, I wanted to make sure that you guys knew what we do, some of the tools we can use to help your families and citizens of Haltom City, but I also wanted to hear from you anything you can think of that would be helpful for us to make sure we know about the citizens you serve and that we can do to help.
Randy, are you serving your Tarrant County or statewide or national?
Just Tarrant County, mostly Northeast Tarrant County now. Yeah. All of our housing is in Northeast Tarrant County. We sold some of our housing that was in South Arlington and other places. And we've basically are in Northeast Tarrant County, and we serve 17 zip codes out of our food pantry, which basically is Northeast Tarrant County. And so most everything, now we will help if GED students want to come over or buy the free tax preparation, we will help others, but most of our resources are focused on Northeast Tarrant County. Mm-hmm. Our biggest collection of people are in the 4-city area,
and
Haltom
how
City.
You're funding, because your presentation show people like you have done a lot.
Yeah.
And you got any federal aid or the statewide money or?
We only now we've been receiving HUD money, and as I mentioned at the end of this month, we won't anymore. The only federal money we're receiving from this point going forward is our for our domestic violence programs, and we actually that's another resource. We actually have 2 counselors for crime victims on staff. They actually offer us over Brent's place, and they actually are available for anybody, any citizen that has been part of a crime victim, has been a crime victim. And so that we get federal funds for those kind of things, that domestic violence crime victim funds. But everything else, our budget is about $4 million a year, and we have to raise basically all of that. And part of that is the housing, that helps us, because everybody pays some rent, and so that is part of it. Then we have to go out and raise funds through different activities. Individuals, corporations, foundations, those kind of things.
Thank you, sir. And Council, you have any question for Ms. Rennie? Councilman Grove, you want to?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I know some of our seniors, their houses become in disrepair, and I know we partnered a couple years ago with Six Stones.
Right.
Are you guys involved in any of that?
We have not. We partnered with Six Stones also in that we helped them and hosted a lot of the activities for that and did some of the follow-up. But that we attempted to do that one time with City of North Richland Hills, and it's such a big deal. I mean, it's such a hard burden kind of thing. So we don't do that. But we are recognizing that senior housing is in the future is going to be harder and harder. Actually, Brent and I were a part of a conversation the other day about that and how in the future, in fact, he said that, we need to somehow figure out how to increase our senior housing, not just ours, but community-wide. We've got to figure that out because we're getting calls regularly about seniors that are being kicked out of their place or they have inappropriate housing.
Well, last year when I was campaigning, I met a number of seniors that lived in apartment buildings, and they were talking about how the rent was outpacing their cost of living increases. And
Yeah.
So that was one of the
And
things.
that is one of the biggest things, and that's countywide. They're saying now that an average 2-bedroom in Tarrant County is $1,200.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know.
And we had a senior call and say she was paying $600 a month, and we were like, that's a good deal. I mean,
Right.
and the problem is she only gets like $800 in
Yep.
Social Security.
Yeah.
And so what do you do with that? And we've talked about encouraging doubling up. I mean, seniors are going to have to do some roommate kind of things or 2-generation kind of things where each are paying rent. And there's some shared housing kind of concepts that are being tested around the country or being used around the country. And Dallas is using them. They're trying them in Arlington. There's different places. And so shared housing is a big part of what I think is going to have to happen in the future.
I think the popularity of the Metroplex and Texas,
Sure.
Texas specifically is just causing this market to explode and increase in value, and it just puts a strain on the people that have been here for their entire life. And then you have individuals coming from high tax states,
Right.
trying to
Buying
benefit, and they come in, they sell their Cracker Jack box house for $1 million,
Yeah.
and they're able to buy 2 houses in
Right.
Texas.
Right.
So.
Well, I was quoted in the paper the other day about a apartment complex in Hearst, talking about it, and I mentioned a lot of out-of-state owners for apartment complexes and other rental housing that they aren't here to see the needs and the problems, and so therefore their units a lot of times get run down, and so it's not just their cost goes up, but their rent goes up, but they're not repairing it and maintaining it the way it needs to be. A lot of deferred maintenance on those things. We bought 2 different properties, and there was deferred maintenance on both of those, especially one of them. They were from out-of-state owners.
Okay, thank you, sir.
One more question. Do you CEC accept any volunteer?
Do we accept what?
Volunteer?
Volunteers. Oh, yes. Sorry, yes. As I mentioned, the refresh, but at our food pantry and a lot of different places, we need volunteers all the time. And so
you can contact any number here?
There's a contact number on the sheet that I think Art is going to put out front for anybody to have. And that sheet that you have, one of the things that we want to make sure, we want you to know what we do, but on the back of that sheet is other resources that we get questioned about a lot. Health services and other things like that the community needs to know. And so we partner with all these different groups to make sure that it's not just all about us. It's about making the community a better place to live and cooperating with each other and collaborating. So yes, there's numbers on there for volunteering and other resources.
No more question, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate you
it.
guys.
The next item will be the update on Haltom Hospitality Development. Mr. Kamali, please welcome, sir.
Okay, so okay. Hi, thank you for allowing me an opportunity to be here. I wanted to present just where we're at right now in this current project. I didn't come here alone. I brought my whole development team, so you guys can ask specific questions that are above my pay grade, potentially. We are about to kick off the rest of the project for the hotel come April 15th. We had certain criteria to meet. We were supposed to put our slab in by the end of August last year, and we got it in a few days before. We had a few challenges along the way, as I've talked to Rex about, and we had a situation where we couldn't get financing because of the reversion clause in the contract. So we had to build the slab out of cash, and then wait 90 days, clear title, and we ended up getting clear title sometime in January. And so we started with the lenders, and now we're back ready to go as of April 15th. The construction schedule here, I've got Matt Molesky from MK Construction. I'd like to ask him to come up and go through the construction schedule. And if you got...
Just for the sake of the audience and people at home, what we're talking about is the development up at the 820 corridor of the new Holiday Inn and a restaurant that you're going to develop. I just want to make sure that the people at home and the people in the audience understood exactly what we were talking about.
Sure,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right, so go ahead there.
Okay. Matt, if you'll...
Good evening, everyone. So, like Al was saying, we're...
At first, can you state your name?
Yes,
and where
my
you
name
live?
is Matt Molesky, and I'm with Molesky Kamali Construction and MSF Contracting Group. And we are the awarded general contractor that's going to be building the hotel here in your city. And like I was saying, we were working through some lending issues, got that addressed. My construction team here is as well, and we've been working with IHG to get approvals on some of the design that we're going to be working on. And like we said, April 15th is when we're starting. We've already ordered our steel lumber package to get the hotel to start going vertical. Looking to get, I don't know if we could blow that schedule up anymore to see the timelines, but we're looking to have, you guys will actually see, everyone wants to see the vertical progress on a hotel of this size. Being able to go ahead and have the hotel up in your community, see that we're looking at this summer, having it up, weathered in, and being able to have the building turned over for IHG inspection. That's the franchise that was approved sometime in December with an opening in January. And then also we have a restaurant too as well that we're looking to have open at the same time. I believe those are some of the agreements that we've had with Haltom City in regards to that. So that's, I don't want to bore everyone about, the day-to-day operations on the construction schedule, but having the hotel weathered in by this summer, and then we go, as a hotel builder, we'll go down after the roof is on with MEP inspections, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, finishes, working with IHG on the finish schedule, and having this wrapped up by the end of this year with a January opening. We met with Rex last week, went over a few things in regards to being able to go vertical at the same time as putting the fire lane in, and that is going to help us speed up the process on going vertical. So that's where we stand right now. Any questions?
Yes. You say April 15th?
April 15th, yes, sir.
Yeah, because I've been in this council, this is my 7 years, and I believe you appear in here many, many times.
That's right.
And I love to see your project going, because we keep promise with citizens out here say, hey, we will build hotel, but finally nothing done. And I wish you keep your promise on schedule, because I think our council, some of us, really get tired with that. And
We'll get it done.
please do it. Okay, at this time, Councilman Grove would like to ask you a couple of questions. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. I guess back in November when we signed this, or actually when the slab was put, you also provided another project plan. And on this date, we should have had the first floor building insulation in. So what happened?
That's correct. So we couldn't get our financing without removing the
But-
reversion clause.
Okay, we're on our third amendment. And you
Right.
said you had financing
still
on the
within-
second amendment.
We had financing but didn't close because we couldn't remove the reversion clause until we provided a slab, and we couldn't get clear title till we waited. You know, Texas, you got to wait 90 days after you
still
do
have-
any construction.
Do you still have the performance bond?
Yes.
So you still have that?
Yes.
Okay. And we're confident that we're going to have a Holiday Inn Express?
That is correct.
Okay. And because my concern is you're just going to run out of runway, because you can
Run out of- well,
runway, to
yes.
complete the project, because, crazy weather, we could have torrential downpours that will
Well,
restrict. And so you've lost, that extra buffer has been consumed.
That's why we're wanting to go vertical right away, so that you could see a building go up and we can save time. And
Okay.
so we're planning on going vertical today.
Can I interview
Yeah,
real quick?
please.
One other thing, if you look, we do construction projects across the DFW area, and I have two of my project executives here too as well, and they can attest how much, we could all attest how much rain we had. If we would have started this job going vertical November, December timeframe, we've had claims with banks going 67, 70 days over the last 3 months. There's been a lot of rain that has impacted to where we almost might be where we're at. I'm not going ahead and trying to give excuses out where we should be right now
Yep.
at this time, but there has been a lot of weather impact that, whether it's us or any other general contractor
Yep.
or developer, we're
But-
running through those.
But the
those same
difference is, we have a partnership here. We have a
Understood.
380 agreement, and if you don't meet your deadline, you're going to owe about $1.6 million for that property. So that's the reality. It's not like, this is not just a regular, you buy the land and you build it. This is something that you have a relationship with the city, and as a representative of the citizens of the city, I have to look at our part of the investment. And so that's my concern, is that we're going to come to the point where this project is installed for 6 to 9 months without going vertical, because you got the slab in, because I drive by that place every day. And so I get to watch and see where it's at. And I was happy that, we saw the people roughing in the slab and getting it poured. And then next thing I know, it's nothing. And it's been that way for months. And so, and again, my concern is that we're going to get to the point where you're not going to meet the deadline. And so then we're going to have to deal with that. So
Well, we're planning on meeting the deadline.
Okay.
We're planning on meeting it by many, many months.
well, like I said, we're on our third
I understand.
amendment. And I remember talking to you about
That's
the
why we
second
asked
time.
for that much time, just in case something like this happened, so.
Okay,
we
and
can
now
absorb it.
all that time's been consumed, and now
Right.
it's basically a sprint.
Well, we wouldn't have done too much, like Matt said, we wouldn't have done too much between now and last November anyway. And then going through that and the holidays and everything else,
Okay.
it's hard to get work
Well,
done.
you guys are the professionals. I talked to somebody
We'll get it done.
that builds hotels also, and he says it's gonna take about 12 months. And so you're talking about less than 12 months.
Yeah, the slab's the hardest part for
slab's the
us.
hardest part, yeah.
Okay.
So that's the hardest
Yeah,
part.
well, it's definitely in.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Council Marianne Healy, go ahead, ma'am.
Well, my question is not as important as what he was talking about, but can you at this point tell us what type of restaurant? If you have the name of it or
Absolutely.
what type?
So I have Aaron Fogel here from Hofbrau, and we're gonna build him a new restaurant in front of the hotel. And if you would mind coming up here and saying a few words?
Welcome, sir, and please state your name.
Yes, Aaron Fogel with Hofbrau Steaks.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead.
Let's see.
So the restaurant, the Hofbrau where it is going to move?
That's the intent, yes, ma'am. We'll be moving over, and
Gosh, it'd be good if we had two of them.
that's competition. Now, it's, we've been looking at this site for, God, I don't know, 3 years now, and got involved with Al here a couple of years ago, and it's, for us, it's a better site. Where we are now, out of sight, out of mind. We do a good business. The last 3 years really have been our best 3 years. Problem is that people don't know you're there. You don't get the volume you like to get. Moving to this site with a freeway, I hope we'll be able to move all the guests that we have now will come over with us, plus pick up all the new people, especially off the freeway, which is, could be
Yes.
sizable. So we're excited about that.
Well, I'm very glad you decided to stay with us. You know, there were rumors going all around about you were going to close, and
We had
You know.
had those rumors. We heard those rumors too.
yeah.
But,
Well, I'm glad
we-
you're going to be with us.
we've been here for going on 16, 15, 16 years right now. So it's actually more like 18 years. So we like Haltom City. People here are great, enjoy it.
Great.
And they've been very, very loyal customers. And so, like I said, moving over is going to help them because it'll be a new building. It's going to be, I don't know if y'all are aware, we did a new Hofbrau in Benbrook.
Yes.
And we've kind of changed our look a little bit. We've gone away from the real rustic look to more of an updated look. Same menu, same, better food, but it's just a little bit nicer, cleaner, not as cluttered building.
Good.
So
Well,
we're looking forward to it.
we look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, and Council Susan Saul.
I was just wanting to confirm, you said January of next year,
Correct.
2021, that this is
Correct.
going to be completed. Is that
Yes,
correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's on our schedule, so if we get some rain or get some impact from that, we'll still be within our timeline.
So you've calculated the possibility of that into
We
this
can't,
date you're
we
giving
can't
us
predict
now?
the weather, but we're taking a generalization of what we think's gonna happen, and we should be able to open sometime in January.
Okay. Is it possible for us to get a copy of that milestone plan in our
Yes,
hard
yes, ma'am.
copy
We'll send it
box?
to you. The
Okay.
contract says they have to be completed by May of 2021. They're anticipating January of 2021.
Okay.
So just thought I'd put that out there.
Okay.
And
Thank
by
you.
the way, just on behalf of the staff and all the citizens I know, Aaron, we really appreciate Hofbrau. It's been a great staple to our community, and we're glad you're staying here.
It's a Mutual Admiration Society.
Thank you, ma'am. You have any more questions? No. Council Watergrove.
I have another question. Have we got the slab for the restaurant? Because I know you talked about two. So are you still planning on the second?
Well, it'll be one to fulfill the agreement. We
Yep.
still, on this
Yeah.
next site, we're gonna do something else. We're trying to get another restaurant.
Okay. I
You know.
just know when we platted it, we platted for.
We platted it for two.
Two
That's
restaurants.
correct. So Hofbrau will be on the western pad,
Mm-hmm.
and then on the eastern pad, we'll see what happens there.
Very cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Linda Thompson.
Yes, I just wanted to acknowledge the manager and the management staff and the wait staff at Hofbrau's. They have been exceptional, and they have been a great partner for Friends Helping Friends. They've been very cordial to help us with our nonprofit, and I just wanted to acknowledge that we do appreciate everything that you do for our community.
Just giving back.
Thank you, ma'am. I believe there are no more questions. And thank you, three gentlemen. And make sure we're looking for 2021, right?
Absolutely.
I appreciate
worries.
that. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day, sir. Okay, at this time, I will adjourn the work session at 6:34, and we will go into the executive session based on the Texas Government Code 551, Chapter 551.071 and .072 and .074. We will be back at 7. Thank you. Please come back. We are ready for a meeting. Council Weiss. Today, the March 9, 2020 at 7:05, I call the regular session in order. As first, invocation and pledge of allegiance will be done by our city manager, Redfield, because the council member, Ricky Brown, is not here today. Go ahead, sir.
Let us pray. Lord, we want to thank you for this community. We want to thank you for our employees, our public safety officers, and all of them, all the employees. Lord, we just ask that you bless them and keep them safe. We thank you for the mayor and the council that are willing to lead and do what's best for this community. We just ask that you would give them the wisdom to make the best decisions for this community. Lord, we thank you for all of this economic development that we're enjoying at this time, and we know that that will serve as a catalyst for even more development, and that will lead this community to a place to where businesses prosper and families flourish. And we just ask you for all these things in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Please be seated. Okay, at this time, everybody already heard about coronavirus, right? Pretty scary. 3 weeks ago, just about 262 cases in America. And just today, this morning, over 500. They double up. And will not be nice in the future. That's why I asked the citizen, actually in our country, we don't shake hands, we bow. But shake hand is one of the best way to show you appreciate, kindness, and polite. I like it. But during the virus problem like this, I would like everybody to exercise carefully, because last week I shook hands with 2 people. And after they shook hands with me and they turn around, take the personal sanitizer and they spray their hand. And that's why I ask you, if you shake hands, somebody have to worry about their safety, make you feel bad, make them feel bad too. So from now on, if you see me or anyone say, hello, how are you? That's for safety, okay? Just exercise your right. But somebody approach me, want to shake hands with me, I will do it, okay? But be careful. This is not a funny thing. Over 100-some thousand people already get hooked into corona. And Ms. Camacho joking with me, say, if you got coronavirus, go ahead, drink Corona beer, I don't think it's work, okay? Don't listen to you, okay? By the way, the first item will be the announcement and event by City Secretary Camacho. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Meeting announcements for March 9, 2020. The Story Time, Tinker Tuesdays, Imagination Station, teen programs, and other library activities are all listed on their dates and times, so please check the library website. And additional activities include the GED study classes, which are held on Tuesday and Thursday from 5 to 8 p.m. They have computer classes in English and Spanish, so you call for the schedule and registration. Sweet Spring Break began today and is going through Friday the 13th from 2 to 4 p.m., and they have activities appropriate for ages kindergarten through the 5th grade during the spring break week at the library. Do-It-Yourself Wednesday, this Wednesday at March 11th at 6:30 p.m. We'll have a craft, funfetti candles, and they have free supplies are provided, but registration is required, so come in and register or call or go online. After Hours Paint Night is going to be held Friday. The subject is cacti, and it's from March 13th. It's from 6:30 to 9 for ages 21 and over. The class is free, and the supplies are provided, but again, registration is required. So you can come in, register, call, or go online. In Parks and Recreation Department, applications are being accepted online from Haltom City graduating seniors from BISD for the 2020 Fine Arts Scholarship. The last day to apply is Friday, March the 20th. The 2020 Haltom City Car Fest will be Saturday, April 4th at Haltom High School. You can check the city website about sponsorships, vendor, and community booth opportunities. The deadline to enter the 2020 Images of Haltom City photo contest is Monday, April the 6th. Details and registration forms are available on the city website. Friends Helping Friends will host a Burgers and Bingo on Saturday, March the 21st at the Senior Citizen Center starting at 6 p.m. Bingo prizes will be $100 per game and will also include a bake sale, door prizes, and silent auction. The proceeds will benefit Friends Helping Friends, Senior Transportation Services, and tickets are available at the library and the Senior Center. And I believe they're $25 each. $25. The BISD utility contractor closed the north side of Hires Lane today and will close the east side of Fisher on Tuesday after 8:30 a.m. to tie in the existing sanitary line. Is that last week? That is today, right. But they're going to tie in tomorrow on Fisher. The east side of Fisher is going to be closed. Both roads will have flaggers on site to safely remove traffic through the construction area, and all appropriate barricades and traffic control devices will be installed. And
Thank you, Ms.
That's all right.
Camacho. The next one will be presentation. At first, I would like to invite Chief of Police Cody Phillips for the K-9 retirement.
We haven't done this in the past, so we're trying to start a new trend to recognize any individual that spends their dedicated majority of their life to Haltom City in the service of their citizens. So we're doing that with the retirement of K-9 Philo here. Philo means first in, last out, which is basically the motto of this team. He came to us as a 14-month-old and was assigned to Scott Russell. Throughout his life, him and Scott Russell, besides forming a bond, they attended numerous trainings and certification courses. Through his years of service, he's had numerous apprehensions. Has allowed our officers to remain safe and not be placed in situations that created greater harm for him. On top of that, he had numerous narcotic seizures as well. Both Sergeant Russell and Philo have dedicated 9 years of their life to this city. So, it's our belief and basically an industry standard that we believe that canines should be able to retire just like humans do and enjoy the rest of their life, relaxing and not having about worrying about going to work and whatever they have to do. So Philo officially retired last month. We're going to start another new trend at the PD. So we've ordered plaques for retired canines, as well as any police officer or city employee that worked under the police department that had 20 years of service. We're going to honor them with a plaque and their year of service next to it, just so that years down the road somebody can remember Officer Philo and what he's done, and as well as Scott Russell, what he's done for the department and the K-9 program. It's hard to say, but he's been called out to Lake Worth, Azle. What's the furthest you've went? That I know about.
Man, I guess like far south Fort Worth.
So
outside Burleson, Madison, Johnson County.
So it's to the point where they're not only just Haltom City, but he's set a standard for departments across this county that they were calling asking us for help. So I want to commend you for the job you've done for the last 9 years, and for the old man, all he's done for us in the last 9 years. Quick story about him. The first night he got cut loose, we had a felony traffic stop. I'd stopped a stolen car, and I was walking up to clear the car, and he was a little passionate about his job. And he took a snip at me, And I looked at Scott Russell, and he goes, he does it again. He's not going to be around much longer. So he went to the other side of the car. But it's just, he's been a very good asset to this department. And we've started the program with Sergeant Tom Myers at the time, and it's just grown to being an exponential asset to the city and the citizens. So thank you.
And what are you doing when he retired, where he lived?
Well, that's another thing. So
Leave the house with the kids.
yeah, like Russell says, he'll be drinking whiskey and smoking cigars.
Okay, 1, 2.
Steak. We got some steak left too, if you want some. So with a retirement comes a vacancy, and we filled that vacancy after a long interview process and tryouts with a handler. This one, that is what was happening on that traffic stop that night. So, yeah. So after that long process, Officer Browder was selected as the next canine handler. Him and Scott Russell went and viewed numerous dogs. They were sent videos of numerous dogs and trying to find a fit. We try to match them together and make sure their personalities match and their passion for the job matches. As you can see by Officer Ghost here, that Browder is very passionate about his job as well. He's only been cut loose for 3 weeks. And the first week of being cut loose on a Sunday, they got dispatched to he was called out for a burglary. Subject who actually was still in the building, and he had his first apprehension 2 Sundays ago. So he is setting the pace and doing a great job already. And it's just as Officer Philo and Scott Russell did, that they'll still continue to train throughout his 9 to 10 year service with the city of Haltom City. So I want to congratulate them and introduce you to Canine Ghost as well. Not this one. He's like, yeah, Cody ain't touching that one.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
Have him hold the call.
That's what I was going to do. I was going to do that.
Thank you. The next presentation, I would like to invite the Fire Chief Brian Jacobs for Hometown Hero Award.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So we get the distinct privilege of honoring one of our local citizens. We don't get to do this very often, but on the evening of February 9th of this year, we had a very significant house fire that a local citizen was able to assist in and ultimately make a rescue that ended up saving this guy's life. So what I want to do is I want to introduce 2 people, Battalion Chief Chase Hudson. He was the incident commander on that fire. He'll be assisting with the awards. And then I also would like to invite up Tracy Wells, if you'd come on up, ma'am. So we have, oh, you got your daughter. Is that Caitlin? Is that right?
Yeah.
So we got Caitlin with you. How are you, Caitlin? 6. Wow. All right. So we got Miss Tracy Wells and her daughter Caitlin. So we got 2 presentations here. One's a certificate of recognition from the city of Haltom City and the mayor, and the other's a presentation on behalf of Stephanie Click in her office. So with that, we have a certificate of recognition presented to Tracy Wells, Hometown Hero. Where it is a rare occasion when the city of Haltom City can honor one of its own citizens for the act of bravery, and whereas a recent occurrence has given us the opportunity to say thank you to Tracy Wells of Haltom City, and whereas on the evening of February 9th, 2020, Miss Wells was driving through the neighborhood of the 4500 block of Biscayne and observed a fire and smoke coming from a house in which a male occupant was asleep on the couch. And whereas Miss Well immediately responded by knocking on the window, waking the male, and informing him that his house is on fire and he needed to evacuate. And whereas the house suffered significant fire and smoke damage, but thanks to her efforts, Mrs. Wells' action was key to saving the occupant's life. Now, therefore, on behalf of Ann Tron, Mayor of Haltom City, Texas, and on behalf of the City Council and all of our citizens, we wish to publicly recognize, thank, and honor Tracy Wells for her heroic actions in coming to the aid of a Haltom City citizen.
Go ahead.
We got one more. All right, Mr. Mayor, we got one more. This is from the State of Texas House of Representatives on behalf of Stephanie Click. This certificate of congratulations is presented to Tracy Wells, hometown hero, Haltom City. Congratulations.
I stand here, Barry. Next one will be proclamation. Leslie, would you come in? She the library director. And this will be achievement of library excellence.
Yes.
Walter?
Walter and Marion.
Uh-oh.
They're in for it.
How are you, ma'am?
Doing great.
Good, ma'am. Come in here. Walter. Go ahead, do it.
He's taller than everybody else.
I don't want to stand next to him.
No one does. Thank you.
You are better. Go ahead.
Okay, this is the achievement of library excellence. Whereas public libraries play a vital role in education, recreation, empowerment of communities, with librarians continuing to lead the way in leveling the playing field for all who seek information and access to technologies, and whereas each year the Texas Municipal Libraries Directors Association confers the Achievement of Library Excellence Award for outstanding contributions to public libraries in Texas, and whereas the Texas Municipal Library Directors Association Achievement of Library Excellence Award is open to Texas public library directors and the libraries they represent, and whereas each year applicants must exhibit excellence in providing services to underserved and special populations, in enhancing services, in marketing their programs and services in innovative ways, in promoting cultural, topical, and educational programming, in providing literacy support, in providing summer reading clubs, in pursuing collaboration efforts in supporting workforce development, in providing for digital inclusion, and in comprehensive training staff, and whereas approximately 571 public libraries are in Texas, only 53 libraries received this award in 2019. And with Haltom City Library meeting the requirements of excellence and have been awarded the 2019 Texas Municipal Libraries Directors Association Achievement of Library Excellence Award. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, An Trong, Mayor of Haltom City, do proclaim March 9th, 2020 to be Haltom City Library Day in the city of Haltom City and encourage all residents to visit the library and enjoy the many programs and services offered. So,
Wait a minute, David. You know I have to say something. Erica, wherever she is really the person that put together the application. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but the application is something like this. So thank you, Erica, our Assistant Director. Thank you.
Even you copied, I'm not afraid.
Tell them also, the only year that we haven't gotten its last pen was the year we didn't apply.
That's true. That's right.
Go ahead. 1, 2, 3. Oh, you're one more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
all right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, like you see most of the presentation today, along with building the CD, bring investor in town, we on way recognize any good thing for the city, and we never forget how to say thank you to good citizen. I appreciate that. By the way, the first item will be minutes, and for the on the February 24, 2020. And Council, you have any question or comment or any correction? If not, this item ready for motion. Councilman Grohl.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the minutes for February 24th, 2020.
Thank you, sir. And Council Van Zandt.
That's for a second.
Okay, we already got second. Go ahead, Judge, register your vote. The minutes is unanimous approved. Thank you. Number 2, the ordinance number O.2020.008.15. And Ms. Batchelor, welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is the second reading on the application of Charles Scoma on behalf of Alcala Construction for a conditional use permit to allow for a contractor's office with shop and garage, locally known as 5005 Parish. If you recall at the first meeting, one of the issues that we need to address was the site plan on maneuvering to the detached back building, and that has been provided by the property owner. So if we can look at the screen up here. Again, this is the property right here. This is the revised site plan. If you notice, they've continued the 24-foot drive aisle going back to the building. The width of the building is 65 feet, so the surface is continuous across the whole front of the building, and it's 25 feet out, so that would be a sufficient loading and unloading zone for the property. We can go back through the pictures. This is what it looked like before when code first notified them that they were violating the ordinance. This is that building that they're going to enclose, so this will all be maneuvering surface and then the loading, unloading in front of the building. This is what it looks like currently with them doing the cleanup and grading the lot. And that will be a totally enclosed building for storage. This is facing north from Parish, facing east towards Airport Freeway, facing south across the street, and to the west towards Layton. If you have any questions, I'm available. Mr. Scoma's here and the property owner also.
Okay. Council, you have any question or comment? If not, this item number 2 ready for motion.
Mayor, do we have to have the public hearing on this?
Huh?
We do not? Okay.
No, this second reading.
I'll make a motion then.
Okay, Councilman Grohl, go ahead, sir.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve ordinance Oscar-2020-008-15, also known as CU-004-20 on second reading.
Thank you, sir. And Councilor Lynn Thompson.
Mayor, that would be for a second.
Okay, we got a second. Go ahead, register your vote, please, Council. Item number 2, unanimous, approved. And now we move to number 3, fee schedule. I would like to invite the Assistant Financial Director, Ms. Selena Macbeth.
How are you? Yes.
Welcome here, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this is in regards to Resolution R-2020-009-03. So this is an amendment of the fee schedule that's already in the budget. This is just corrections to the existing fee schedule. So this is for 2020. So you should have in your packet, I know it's a long document. I highlighted in red font the items that are being revised or changing. Did you all get that? Looks like this. Everyone got the color? Yours is in black and white? Okay, that's a problem. Let me walk you through it. The changes are on pages 10, 12, 13, and 14, so they're towards the end. I can walk you through the first one. On page 10, it's in section M, like Mary, water and sanitary sewer connection. You all see that, just let me know. Everyone's good? Okay, so in the existing fee schedule, we had all the items where it says like 1A, 2A, 3A, et cetera. The additions are the items underneath it, which were in red, which is 1B, 2B, 3B, et cetera. So this is adding the related items to each of the ones above for the antennas. Does that make sense? They're underlined?
Council,
Okay.
you have a, Ms. Van Zandt, you have a question?
Right, I had those underlined because of the
Yes.
color, after I found out the color, the discrepancy.
Okay,
So
I
those are, those
apologize.
that
I
are
thought you had
underlined
a
are the
color
claims that would be highlighted in different colors. I apologize for that, not Lynn.
Okay, Council, you have any other question? That's all you have, ma'am?
Yeah, that's all I have. And
Okay,
the other,
and,
yeah.
Council Weiss, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. On the meter tampering and cut lock, the per incident is 150.
Yes.
Is that in line with everybody around us? Are we-
Yes, and that's actually, this is a correction. Those are fees that we've already been charging. This is just a correction. Yeah.
Thank you. And Ms. Macbeth, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now I would like to go to item number 4, staff report. Oh, I'm sorry. This item need a council approval, so go ahead, this item ready for motion, and Councilman Rowe.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we approve Resolution Romeo-2020-009-03 for the fiscal year 2020 fee schedule amended.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Thompson.
Mayor, that would be for a second.
Thank you. We already have second. You don't have any more questions, so register your vote, please. Item number 3, unanimous approved. And now we go to city staff report, item number 4. First, I would like to invite Chief Cody Phillips. You're a busy man tonight. He will give season information packet of Haltom City Law Enforcement Center. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. Mayor, City Council, citizens, Haltom City. I've been tasked with, producing and showing a pamphlet that is our proposed 2020 bond pamphlet that's going to be mailed out. Just to start off, the content and wording must still be approved by the bond council. It's already been reviewed by the city attorney's office and the financial advisor for to get those clarified and make sure they were good to go. The bond pamphlet must only contain factual information, and once approved by the bond council, will be mailed out. A website will be created by Haltom City IT, which will also provide more fluid dissemination of factual information via the electronic services. So the next slides are copies of the bond pamphlet that's being presented to the bond council for review. I'll hand those out here in a little bit. The first page, this is the front page and the back page. It has the dates of the election, bond information about where you can go and vote for the locations. When you open the pamphlet up, these are the two inside pages. The inside pages will have the background of the existing law enforcement center. It also explains why now. It goes into some factual information about the debt and how its effect on the issuance of the general obligation bond, not to exceed the 20 million, and how it doesn't affect the tax rate. And then some topic or talking points on the right, the new law enforcement center, some amenities that it's going to provide not only for the officers or the employees of the department, but for the citizens as well. Like I said, the website's not up and running yet. It's just waiting for everything for bond council to approve it. But once that's done, the process will start moving along. Do y'all have any questions?
Council, you have any question for Chief Phillips? While reading this, I just remind citizens out there, because a lot of people confused, they include City Hall is not just a police station, correct, Chief?
Correct, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Council Thompson.
Thank you, Mayor. Chief Phillips, this is really good. From what I'm seeing, I would like to emphasize a little bit more on the advantages for our community as far as in relation to how this might help speed up times to answer calls. We would be able to have more police officers to help provide more safety for our community, because we now would have adequate space and have that for them, which would lure more quality officers as well. Could we add some more into that?
I think those are all subjective. The only thing we can give is factual information. One thing, our level of service is not going to change just because we have a new building. The amenities that this building provides is going to help the citizens. So as you can see in the bond information, it has a community meeting room space. For example, we had no place to do early voting this year. This community space could be utilized for early voting. It could be used for meetings, for Citizens Police Academy, any kind of group meeting or anything like that that we could do to help bridge the gap between the community and the police department. It also establishes an EOC, which we have one, but it's not up to the standards that are out there right now. So this would allow us to have a more efficient EOC as well, which would help provide this level of service that the citizens expect that any other citizens in any other city gets.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And Council Van Zandt.
Thank you, Mayor. So just since we've been talking about this, can you tell me, among your team there, has the morale been higher because of the expectation of this?
Yes and no. We've been through this process 3 times since I've been here, so the people that have been here for a while understand, kind of like when you were just talking about Kermali. It's not, nothing's going to happen until something goes vertical or they see something going on. And once that occurs, I think it'll put a little skip to their step. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, on this rendition, I see in red where this is a secured access and parking. Is that a fence that I'm seeing? Do you know that?
That is correct. It is. These are just conceptual. They're just renderings at this point to give an idea of that the proposed facility can fit on the lot and the property that we currently own while still utilizing the space that we are currently in.
Good job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, former Haltom City Police Officer Walter Grove.
Hey, Chief, how many sworn officers do we have currently?
We are allotted 78.
78?
Yes, sir.
And with our expected growth to 50,000 residents, what would be our number of officers that we would need?
To maintain the International Association of Chiefs of Police, IACP, we need 1.8 per 10. So we would need about 90 officers.
90 officers.
And then and that's if they keep the 3 SRO officers, which would make us 93. And you know, it's difficult in this day and time. Everybody seems to be competing against each other between law enforcement and the fire services about trying to recruit. So, you know, whatever we can do to help recruit somebody. We have a great name in the law enforcement community for our training and the activities that we are involved in. So that's really what's pulling them towards Haltom City right now.
But ultimately, we need about 15 more officers once we hit that magical 50K mark to provide the same level of response time that our citizens currently enjoy.
Absolutely.
And the current facility, we're basically out of space for the
with
70.
The allotted, correct. With what we have now, if we were to continue to have the jail and dispatch, which is another 60 people, that would, I mean, we'd have been out of space 10 years ago. But since the shared services happened, that's allowed us some extra room to grow, and we're already at that limit now. With 78 people, you know, we're out of locker rooms for the officers, both male and female, and that's still with 6 openings.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You want go ahead, Ms. Farrell.
Chief, if you would explain what EOC means for the people at home.
Okay.
And it's recommended the cities have more than one of those, correct?
Correct.
And we only have one, is that right?
Correct.
We have explain that.
The EOC is an emergency operations center, so anytime a disaster strikes the city, and a disaster doesn't necessarily have to be a tornado or a rain event. It could be a gas line rupture, a water line rupture, anything that displaces, affects a majority of our community is considered an emergency. So we stand up in our emergency operations center, which gathers a bunch of the department heads together to try to allocate resources in the most efficient manner to get a task accomplished. Currently, our EOC is at Station 1 on the top floor. It's recommended that most cities have 2. You have a disaster recovery site, so if something was to happen at your main EOC or your secondary EOC, you still have one in place to operate. So with an updated EOC and all that, we could look at joining, you know, seeing if North Hills, because they have an EOC, is to cooperate in an emergency situation if we have to have an offsite disaster recovery center. Does that answer your question? Sometimes I feel like old school. I pass out and good stuff comes out.
I just want to do like a Father Time story. Back in the Y2K timeframe, we stood up an EOC because everybody was expecting all the computers to crash, and so we had city staff at in the conference center waiting for the clock to tick past midnight to see what broke. So that's an illustration of when an EOC is being used.
And we recently just hired an EOC from Fort Worth. He's going to be a rock star for this city. It's going to really progress our EOC capabilities and the training of our staff. So this is just another facet of that program and that location.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good job. Thank you. Appreciate that. Now we invite Mr. Greg Smith or what? to report of maintenance and, street activity. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
I
Good
promise
evening.
we'll never try to work on your last name.
That's fine. I thought on that same election is also the renewal of the 3/8 cents sales tax. So I thought it would just discuss that a bit, what we've done with funding in the past. First, a little history. The current 3/8 cents of 1% sales tax was approved by the voters back on May 7th of 2016. At that time, that approved it to be in effect for 4 years. So 4 years would be May 7th of this year. The election this year is May 2nd, just right before that due date. And again, the voters will decide whether to reauthorize that 3/8 cents sales tax. How much money is generated? The current fiscal year budget estimates that this 3/8 cent sales tax will equate into about $3 million, which is used strictly towards street maintenance, repair, and replacement, better known as reconstruction of our streets. Where is it spent? The street division's budget is just under 1.4 million, and that's where a significant chunk goes. Street division for the current fiscal year anticipates using 2,800 tons of asphalt for patching, 25 tons of asphalt for potholes. That's 300 potholes to fill. That's pretty much a pothole a day. 1.25 lane miles of asphalt overlay, and 3/4 of a mile of crack sealing. As you see over here, this is an example of doing some very significant patch work. Additionally, the city has a 5-year capital improvements program, and that has money allocated when we do a street reconstruction project for the paving portion, the water and sewer portion, and the drainage portion. So once we subtract out the 1.4 million from the 3 million that's estimated to be collected, that leaves us with 1.6 million. And this is an example of what a street looks like after it was reconstructed. Give you an example of some streets that we've used this money towards over the last little over 5 years. These are all collector streets. These are streets that handle a high volume of traffic. Also, we've reconstructed quite a few residential streets. Additionally, we've overlaid some streets. So you see over here, there's about a dozen streets that we've overlaid. What we try to do with our overlay projects is concentrate in one area of town. Also of note, when we overlay streets, a lot of times we're replacing a significant amount of curb and gutter. If it gets to the point where the street is kind of iffy on whether it should be overlaid or not, and the curb and gutter, as I'm sure you've seen, sometimes almost upside down, it's beyond the point of overlaying. It needs to be reconstructed. So I briefly spoke about our 5-year CIP. So these are some of the streets that are coming up in our 5-year CIP. In terms of collector streets, Broadway in front of the post office, all the way to Highway 26, Huddleston and McCullough. We also have some industrial streets. Meacham Boulevard, the engineering division has been meeting with property owners on both sides of Meacham because we're going to have it down to a one direction during entire construction. So we wanted to make sure that businesses were aware of that they were in agreement with the direction that we picked was the appropriate direction during construction, and that they could make the proper arrangements with their delivery drivers because they're all industrial. They have quite a few 18-wheelers that visit their properties. And lastly, again, residential streets. So that's my presentation. I'd be happy to address any questions that y'all might have.
Councilman Zen.
First of all, I just want to thank you and your team for this. I just find this to be so informative, and I'm really appreciative. So does the same crew that you have doing the updates, are they called off when you have emergencies like potholes or something?
Yes, and so what happens, especially when we have an overlay project, that pretty much takes everybody on the street division. So if we have signs down elsewhere, or traffic signals somewhere around town, we have to take people off that crew, which really slows down production on our overlay project.
Okay. I just wanted to point that out because as well as weather, you have a limitation to what you can do with manpower.
Right, and speaking of weather, another problem that we've run into, we're coming out of the winter months, but when it gets to be a certain temperature, the asphalt plants aren't manufacturing asphalt. So you may have a week where you estimate to go overlay a street or lay quite a bit of asphalt, and if the weather doesn't cooperate, nope, you're not doing that. You're pulled over into another direction.
On average, just a guesstimate, how much do you feel like per week you may be called off of a job for repairs?
I'm sure it's at least once a week.
Okay.
It's very rarely that we're able, in fact, I almost can't think of a time where we were able to start an overlay project and we're able to stick with it and not have to leave and get called off to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you also have, the EOC was mentioned earlier, when we have storm events, quite often it's the street division that's out there removing the trees from the right of way. We did have the EOC operated, I say earlier this year, it might have been late last year, where we had the severe windstorm. And I think we had trees falling onto people's homes. So yes, the EOC was activated. Now, it wasn't the full EOC activation, but quite a bit of public works personnel and police and fire, and we did meet in the second floor of the fire station.
Yeah. Well, I just want to thank you. I'm sorry I'm one of those who called and reported something, but you know, when you see those stop signs down, the fact that you get people out that quickly, that really can save a wreck or something, and I'm just very grateful.
Thank you, and that's what we're here for.
Thank you. Any more questions? I bet you're done. Thank you. We move to item number 5, future agenda items. Council, you have anything you want to put on the next one? I see none. Show now board, commission, committees. Resignation of board, commission, committee members. Anyone? None. How about appointment and reappointment of board, commission, and committee? None. Well, absent requirement. We have Council Member Ricky Brown. Go ahead, Ms. Weiss.
Make a motion that we excuse the absence of Council Ricky Brown.
Okay, go ahead. And Councilman Grohl.
I was for a second.
We need second. Okay, you second? Okay. Unanimous approve for absence of Council Ricky Brown. Thank you. Okay, we are now adjourned to the we are now resigning into the executive session based on the Texas Government Code chapter, 551, chapter 551.074. Go ahead, sir. Vanzant, go ahead, ma'am, sorry.
Yes, I just wanted to let everyone know that on March the 17th, which is Tuesday, St. Patrick's Day, we're going to be starting a petition drive to show support from citizens of sponsorship for businesses to try to encourage some businesses to come to Haltom City. And that will be out in front of the old Kmart building by Planet Fitness from 4 to 6.
Say again the date, ma'am.
March 17th on a Tuesday, I believe.
Thank you, ma'am. Sorry I didn't see you. Okay. By the way, now we are resigning into the executive session, and we'll be back. Thank you.